Rachel, and this is the podcast Wear Many Hats, which is totally dedicated to the FM industry. Today, we've got a very interesting guest actually come to chat to us today. Luke Fellone, director of the Hoxton and Working From. He's going to tell us more about that in a bit, but welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
It's very, very much our pleasure to have you here. Did you come from far today?
No, I was actually in Branch, so I was in Southwark today, this morning, and then I walked on over in the sweltering heat, trying to keep calm as much as I could. It's so hot.
It's really warm. I've not been on the central line today, but I call it the central heating line. I'm sure it's probably sweltering down there. But yeah, so it's nice and cool in here.
Yeah, exactly. I walked over because I'm not taking the tube in this heat. No.
It's not good. Elizabeth line, but nothing else. I think that's the only one with aircon, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to having an interview with you today. So yeah, should we jump straight in?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Let's rewind a bit then. Where did it all start for you?
So life started. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So where did your career start from? Talk to us.
So career-wise, I've had quite a interesting path. I originally started I started working very young, like 14 years old, always in hospitality-based work. So restaurants, things like that, from a very young age. And then but my passion had always been music.
Nice.
So I moved to London when I was 19 years old to study music. And then from then on, I was in members clubs and things like that until moving to Working From around 3.5 years ago now, yes. Which is where I kind of started my co-working career.
Right. Okay. So I saw I was looking on LinkedIn, as I always do my research. What is Maggie and Rose? What is this? Is this a members club?
Yeah. So that was my first foray into members clubs. So I was there for literally like 11 years on and off. It was my university job. It's not around anymore, unfortunately, but it was a family members club. Huh. So basically a place where you can bring your little ones and have some family time together. They offered different classes. They had a cafe. Some of them had co-working spaces in the end.
Right.
And they were all across London. There was three in different districts of London. Then I also actually moved with them to China to open their first mainland China one. So they are still actually active in China. They had in Hong Kong, in Singapore. So it was it was a global family members club, which is extremely interesting premise. It really, really was interesting. And as I said, it gave me that opportunity to experience the more membership-based side of things, which I hadn't done before, which my personality lends itself to that. Yeah. And I loved it. Yeah. It's all about building relationships, and that really gave me the opportunity to do so. And it was great. It was flexible. So as I said, I sing. I still sing now, actually. And it gave me the opportunity to be like, I'm just going to pop away for 6 months and do a contract, and then I'll come back and work.
So they were
very flexible. Yeah. Which is great.
Time.
Exactly. Okay. So that was Maggie and Rose. Yeah.
So tell us now about sort of how you got into where you are now.
So again, it was just having that experience with members clubs. As I said, for me, it's all about relationship building, and having worked in kind of general hospitality, restaurants, bars, things like that, and then having worked in the membership side of things, I loved the fact that you had return customers, that you could basically build your space, build your business around the needs of returning members. And it meant that it was that more intimate, more personal thing. And I love that. Yeah. So with Maggie and Rose, I very much worked my way from being a barista all the way up to being to assistant managing essentially the one of the clubs. And then I decided after being there for quite a long time that it was time for me to kind of move on to something else. And literally the first thing I looked at was Working From. And when you walk into a space and you have your interview and you're like, this place.
Yes.
And very, very lucky that I landed on my feet there, and they took a chance on me because I'd never done co-working before, but I was applying for the membership engagement manager role. And as I said, part of what I love is fostering community, having relationships with people. And that's what community managers do. They they encourage the community within the co-working space. So it worked. It lent itself very much to me, and I was offered that job. And then I've just gone from, I've had in 3.5 years, I've had 3 different titles, which is great. I've just been kind of encouraged to go from strength to strength within working from in the Hoxton, and I've loved my journey so far, from membership engagement manager to head of memberships to now director of co-working, which is great.
So that must include a lot of operations and the centre and the hotel running smoothly. So
yeah, exactly. So I don't necessarily I don't deal with the hotel too much. Okay. We are classed as different entities, but what's really interesting is that we share a building.
Right. Okay.
So there is a lot of things like maintenance team and things like that we do share together. Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting when you look at kind of co-working spaces. Usually co-working spaces don't have that. They're very standalone. Of course. Or they have co-working space. They have multiple co-working spaces. So they have a maintenance team that goes across 4 of their spaces. For us, we share it within the building. So whilst it's not directly connected to the hotel, we have to work very closely together. We have morning meetings every morning where we discuss the building and things like that. So it's super interesting because you get a glimpse into the hospitality side of things, the room side of things, whilst also mixing it in with the co-working side. So it is very, very interesting. But yeah, my job is as director of co-working is very it's different every day, and I'm sure everybody that you interview says my job's different every day.
It's wearing many hats.
Exactly that. So you could go from operational side of things, like on Friday our barista was sick, so I was upstairs making coffees on the 12th floor and everything all Friday. Whereas, and then other parts of my job are making sure that I do reports for the ownership or for leadership and things like that, making sure that we're looking at P&L reports and things like that. Yeah. So my job can go from sitting with double screens doing reports in the morning to changing light bulbs in the afternoon. It changes. Yeah, it's very much that way. And yeah, I love it. It definitely keeps you on your toes for sure.
Yeah, for sure. That's brilliant. So, I mean, did you always know that this was going to be the path that you'd end up on?
Definitely not. If you would have asked me, because I said I come from a performers background, I would have never thought that, but that I would be in essentially quite a corporate job. But what I love is that it's corporate, but it's hospitality in the same way. It's equal parts. So I'm using my brain for the more corporate side of things, but then I'm really using my personality and my love of service and hospitality for the other more operational side of things and making sure that members are happy and things like that. So if you would have asked me 10 years ago, do you think you would have worked in a co-working space? I would have laughed at you and gone, no. But it's this co-working space that I think, and the way that the co-working space industry is going, that makes me go, yeah, actually, it's a great fit for me. Something I wouldn't have considered, but great.
It's a fab industry, and it's really evolving, isn't it? Especially post-COVID. We can talk about that later.
Completely.
So who or what sort of gave you the real push in your career? Is there anyone in particular? Or
so I think kind of circling back to Maggie and Rose, what I loved about that was the fact that I came in whilst it was still a very new business. So it was very much, I came in on ground level and met the CEO and had a good relationship with her and was very much along for the ride for that. So that gave me the push to want to be in a membership based company. And to be honest, with Working From opened in February 2020 and then closed very soon after because of COVID. So despite me coming in whilst it was 2 years old, they hadn't really had a chance to find their footing yet. So I still very much do class me coming in at a time when it was in its junior things and
starting to open up again.
Exactly.
They didn't get much of a chance, did they?
Especially as a community manager, how are you supposed to build community during COVID? It's literally impossible. So coming in the beginning of 2020, literally January 3rd, 2020, I started, and having that time to having that opportunity to kind of build that upwards and having that belief from especially my general manager at the time and the team that I had at the time was very much go run with it. You do what you want, be creative.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of gave me the push to go, do you know what? I like this industry. I want to, exactly. Of course, it had to stay coloured within the lines, because especially with Working From and the Hoxton, we have a very beloved brand. One of the things that people love about our our company in particular is the fact that we are so defined in what we provide and how we do it. So there is definitely parameters, but basically I was able to just go and run with what I thought would work for the space, and that gave me the push to go, do you know what, I like this industry could have a future for me.
So it was falling into that role and then making it your own, thinking
right place, right time, very much right place, right time, and giving me that opportunity to learn the industry essentially. Yeah.
Fantastic. So what does a day actually look like? You mentioned about barista 1 minute,
yes,
paperwork and screens the next. Talk to us about your days. How are they looking for you?
Yeah, they're enjoyable, honestly. Like getting into, I live for the little things in life. I live for like I said, building relationships. So I live for jumping into a lift and seeing one of our members and being like, oh, by the way, how was Spain? And having those little touch points with them. So for me, a general day is making sure that I'll walk around the building. Obviously, part of that is operational, checking that all of the toilet flushes are working, checking that all of these, everything is how it's supposed to be. But also another part of that is having those moments to say, I'm here, I'm present.
Yeah. So let's talk challenges, Luke. What's testing you right now in your role or in the company?
So I'd say personally for me, when it comes to challenges, it would be kind of knowing what's required of me in order to succeed in the business of co-working. I think that is what's super interesting for me is that I do have that exposure to the hotel side of things. And in the hotel, they have real transparency across their industry, where they have a comp set where they can where you can find out how other businesses in your area are doing. And we don't have that. So it's very, very hard in order to find benchmarks for what's required of you. So I think that's always going to be a challenge until we kind of evolve to sharing those things. It has to be something that I work on independently. So making sure that I network within the community to make sure that I've got some essentially friends that I can turn to and be like, by the way, how's this going for you at the moment? Are you seeing more churn? Are you what would you suggest to do for a member outreach thing for this month? And having that kind of that ability to chat and to brainstorm with other people that aren't necessarily in your company, that's something that I think is I would love to work on and love to improve. So not necessarily a challenge, but something I would love the co-working. Yeah, exactly. Something where I'd love for the co-working industry to embrace and reach a point where we do have that.
It's very interesting. So where do you think the industry is heading and what excites you? We spoke a little bit about AI, AI, ESG, we mentioned earlier, and sort of all the tech side of things. Where do you think it's heading and what excites you for your company and yourself?
So co-working and working from and every other co-working space essentially it's young. It's a young industry. So I think one of the exciting things about it being a young industry is that we're used to having to evolve and having to change. There's not necessarily a playbook that's been around for 20 years. So we can make our own playbook, which is interesting in one way, but also in another way, it's quite daunting because you don't want to be basing business choices that have lots of money attached to it on whims. So it's interesting to look at how even the way that office spaces are working at the moment, having seen the change in the last 6 months, even with how people are returning to work or not returning to work, and having to deal with financial implications of what's happening in the world right now. You see a lot of the smaller, newer businesses that may have come around in COVID or post-COVID going, we've worked from home for the past 4 years. Do we really need a workspace? Or turning around and going, do you know what? We do need a workspace because we need to foster that community.
Let's get back.
Exactly. And I do feel like it's exciting in one way and daunting in another, because co-working and all office spaces in general are riding that wave, and we don't know where that wave's going to go, essentially.
I feel like it's getting to the point where people are really returning. It feels a lot busier in the town, in the city.
I'd agree with that,
and in London generally, I mean, everything's packed on the
tube and everything.
You know, today is quite quiet, and I hear it's at the weekend we had what's that huge festival that
Glastonbury,
yeah. Apparently people are probably recovering from that today. I don't know, but it seems a lot quieter out here today.
You know, it's interesting. When it's warm, we see a lot of people working from home.
Really?
Because they just don't want to leave and do that journey. This is what I always say to people. I was like, we have aircon, and you 99.9% don't have aircon at home because they're just not fit for that.
It's so lovely in here right now. I think we put it on like 16. It's nice. It's cool in here. But when we go out, we'll be like, oh.
Exactly.
Gosh.
It's that trip home, that daunting thing that's in the back of your mind. I've got to get on a tube to get home later.
Don't mind working from home when it's raining and it's drizzly and awful, but I think it's good to get out and get in the sunshine while we've got it,
Agreed.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think people are going back to work, going back to that. And I do think it's very important for people to be working together.
Exactly.
Even if we're not in the same company, and with co-working is a great example of that, is that, you know, you may be a one-man band, but you're going to be working with loads of people in a similar situation.
Exactly.
For people in co-working spaces, you know, and then you can bounce ideas off of people and you get to know someone, you know.
Nothing gives me more pleasure than when I'm sat, we have a 12th floor cafe, and nothing gives me more pleasure than when I step off the lift and I see like two sole traders chatting, clearly having like a business meeting. And I'm like, this is amazing. This is what this industry is all about, connecting people and giving them the opportunity to, when they're a one-man band, being able to go and have these interactions with people. So I completely agree with you. I do think that it is, we should be pushing for people to come back into the workspace. And maybe I'm biased. I've got some bias.
No, but you know, even the hybrid side of things, I think is relatively, you know, healthy as well. But I mean, personally, I ran a business and worked from home constantly, and that was extremely challenging because you are having to motivate yourself, which can be challenging for some.
Yeah.
Not all of us jump out of bed at 5 a.m, go for a swim or a run or whatever. And we're like, let's go. That wasn't me. And, you know, it can have effects on your mental health. Like,
for sure.
You know, like not mixing with people in the office.
And I felt like I worked from home during COVID, and I did feel like I had a very strange work-life balance in the way that I'd find myself popping out to the shops for 2 hours in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Put it out.
And then at 9 p.m. I'd be like, oh no, I've not finished that thing. So I'll go back to it. And then at 11 p.m. I'm sending stuff off. I'm like, wow.
It's like unorganized chaos.
Whereas I leave work at work.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said for definitely being back in the office.
I agree. Lovely. So what about sort of ESG and tech side of stuff? How are you guys working towards that? I'm assuming like being like new and modern, and you've got it all, haven't you?
Tech wise, we're very lucky. We have a tech department as part of the hotel. And as I said earlier, we share certain things, and that's something that we share. So, and of course, like tech is like running water in anything to do with co-working. You need to have a good level of tech. So when it comes to that, I do think we're quite lucky. AI is very funny because if you would have asked me about a month ago, I would have been completely against AI because I just feel like it takes out the personal side of things. And I did notice when I'd see some of my hosts sending emails back, I was thinking, I know that's been written via ChatGPT. I can feel it because it just misses a little bit of its tone. But then I had one of the people who reports into me is a big advocate for AI, and he uses it in a very clever way, in the way that he'll write it in and just say, please can you make it be a little bit more like this, and then he'll take that away and he'll edit it to make it feel more personable. So
you've got to check it.
Exactly. For that type of thing, I feel like, especially as I said earlier, the Hoxton and working from, we have our own way of being, and we're very, very particular about our brand. And there is a way of Hoxifying things. Like so you need to take it and do that with it. So, exactly. So if you can use it as a tool alongside stuff, I'm all for it now. Right. And I also do that now. I'll run it through and say, can you check for spellings? Can you do this? Can you make it a little bit friendlier? Yeah. Can you do this? And then I'll edit it.
It to know you apparently as well.
Yeah.
And the way that you do talk. Apparently.
Which is crazy. I might maybe be able to say, can you Hoxify this? And it'll boom.
There you go.
But yeah. And then ESG wise, we have an ESG committee, and I am I share the committee. We call it a green key champion.
Okay.
So I'm one of the champions with somebody from the hotel, and we work towards something called a green key. So that's something that's for hotels, because we share the building. Yes. Majority of the building is hotel and restaurant, so it comes under that. Yeah. So basically, you may have noticed it, and you will notice it now.
I will now.
If you go past hotels, you'll notice that they should have a plaque outside of them that has, it's usually a blue plaque that has a green key on it, because it's called green key. And that basically is to show that you are taking steps, not necessarily to be that you're currently carbon neutral, but you are taking steps in order to be carbon neutral and in order to cut all of your emissions and things like that. So part of that is things like making sure that there is no single-use plastic within the space, making sure that that there is some type of renewable energy, or you pay towards some type of renewable energy in order to power the building, things like that. So it's exactly. So that is a tricky thing for us, because how do you enforce we've got 1,100 members, we've got over 110 member teams. How do you enforce that they do that? And of course you can't enforce that somebody recycles, but you can encourage them where possible. So that is something that we just make it as easy as humanly possible for them to. We have 4 bins, they're labeled very, very clearly.
Yes.
And we give them the opportunity to facilitate them. If they don't, they don't. But yeah, that is something that is a huge focus. And it's very interesting, because the amount of emails that I get saying, please can you provide me with how much landfill waste you've given this year. And luckily, because I'm an ESG champion, I've got that information, and I'm able to give that type of stuff to them.
People ask this question.
Yeah, all the time. I always get that, and they ask like how much per visit would one person use in water and things like that. So we have that data, and it's great, because I can say, okay, in a month we had this many members. I can see that your team came in this many times. So if you divide this by this is how much water they used each time they came.
That you can do that.
It's amazing. It's really, really great that you've got that opportunity to be so clear and concise about your energy consumption. Exactly.
And obviously, some people put it on their websites, don't they?
Exactly.
Saving, or
Exactly. It's very important, and I'm so for it. I'm so for it. I'm the type of person in my personal life that wants to make sure that we do it.
We're doing a little bit.
Exactly.
All of us, if we can all do just a little bit, and be aware of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And like you say, keep trying towards something.
All you can do is try.
Absolutely. So so AI is a friend of yours, I take it then.
It's becoming a friend.
We like that.
I would say it's an acquaintance.
Yes.
It's an acquaintance, soon to be friend, maybe.
Apparently someone said make sure you say please to the
Yeah. I do say please. I will not.
Completely takes over. You've been nice.
Genuinely. I'll say, Alexa, can you play this, please? And my partner's like, why have you just said please to Alexa?
No, I'm going to start doing that too. I just don't want to take any chances. Okay. So do you think the industry is innovating fast enough? I think you kind of mentioned there that the hotel was doing certain things that maybe you guys weren't in co-working. So is that something that you feel like you want to catch up with? And
100%. And like I said, we're a very, very young industry. So it's one of those things where I think that we move a lot faster than other industries have in the past in order to stay relevant. But then there's certain things that we do need to adapt and to just in order for us to just run smoother as an industry in general, not just business to business, literally the whole industry. There is certain things
more transparent.
Exactly. Yeah. I would love that. I genuinely would love that, and I think it would help us grow. 100%.
Down to you to change.
I'd love to do that.
Do it.
Yeah.
I'll
ask AI to help me do it.
Do it. So looking back, what moment or project are you still proud of today?
So for me personally, one of the biggest kind of life-altering things was when I moved to open the members club in China. It's funny because I had already lived in China for 1 year, because I was singing in China for a year. And then the CEO called and was like, by the way, we're opening in China. Would you like to just stay in China and open the business there? And I was like, yeah, why not? So I stayed there for another year, moved to a different city, but stayed there another year. And that was entirely different to my first year experience and anything I've ever experienced before and since, because it's just kind of, I had to take the DNA of a very British brand and adapt it, but still keep it to be what it was, which in a market in the Far East is very, very challenging. So, but then in the end, there was a cohesive link between the two as much as we possibly could. I set it up and I was the only member that stayed there for a year past that. Everybody else at 3 months left and came back to the UK. I stayed for the entire year. Okay. So I was very much a brand ambassador. No, we wouldn't do that in the UK. We wouldn't do it. Yeah, still there and they're thriving. They've opened multiple branches. So that's something that I am definitely proud of, just being able to adapt it and also being able to, it taught me to be, if there's a brand guideline or there's a brand DNA, stick to it and be unapologetic about it. And that helps me now when things are changing. I turn around and go, is there a bit more churn at the moment? What can we do? How can we do that? And it's like, let's do this, but let's not do that, because if we do that, it's going to compromise the brand. And I'm proud of our brand and I like how our brand is. Yeah. You shouldn't compromise that. Yeah. So it's good. It kind of gave me that power to go, there's certain ways where you can change and twerk and adapt, and other times when you're like, nope, this is us.
Absolutely. I agree. I do agree with you there. And so having lived there for a little while in China, that would have given you a little bit of a head start. So if someone said to me, you've got to go and set something up in China, I'd be like, oh yeah, wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah. I knew everything works entirely different there, which is it's super, super interesting. But yeah, like even the way their payment systems, they have a system that on their phone like WhatsApp, but different. It's called WeChat, and they pay their rent through there, and they do everything through there. It's very, very interesting, extremely interesting country. It's so beautiful and the people are really lovely. So yeah, it was very, very interesting, but they just work very differently to how we work here.
Is there something we could be learning from them? That sounds interesting for a start.
Yeah, I mean, they are very resourceful, I would say, but then they could learn a lot from us because they're very much workaholics, so they don't stop. So resourceful, yeah. So we could learn resourcefulness from them, I feel, but then at the same time they could learn to have a little bit more of a work-life balance from us, for sure, as a whole. I feel.
Okay, that sounds.
It's very interesting.
It is. So, is there something that you wish you'd knew when you were starting out?
With regards to co-work, and I think something that is very interesting, I would say, if you're going to be working, a job in a co-working space is not an office job. Yeah. Which sounds silly, but it's really not, in the way that you need to be. Yes, there's certain times where you might need to be more office based because you're doing reports or you're doing something that requires a little bit more confidentiality. But for me, like where I've thrived in this business is making sure that I'm present and that I'm on the floor. So if I've got a report that I need to pull and it's not confidential, then why not go and sit on one of the floors and be amongst the people and be in the thick of it and experience what it's like to be a member, so that I can then turn around and go, okay, actually, why don't we try this? Or the snacks go out too late. Or literally you learn what it is that a member is experiencing, and then you can improve your space to be better as a result of it. So for me, when I'm talking about co-working, I'd say that's a big thing, to make sure that you're not too fixed to your seat, essentially.
Do you feel like it would suit somebody that's an introvert then, or probably not?
Probably not. No, I would.
Got to be quite out there.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to talk to people.
I mean, there's certain roles, of course, that would lend themselves more to that. But I do think that it's still quite a service-led space.
Your position is definitely
exactly. Mine is
can't be shut away in the office.
Exactly. My previous role was even sales. You need to be proactive, very, very proactive. So I say there's I would agree with you. You need to be quite extroverted and quite comfortable to go and chat with people in order to excel in the co-working side of things. Yeah.
So if somebody came to you tomorrow saying, I want to do what you do, what would you say?
I'd say, yes, please come.
Someone said good luck once.
It's really, really interesting because on Saturday I met up with my old general manager. And I've only been in this role for like 6 months, and she was there previously as a general manager. And we were discussing how I progressed and whether she found it easy to manage me or whether it was difficult to manage me. And she was very lovely to me. But then we were talking about the first time that we do like 6-month check-ins as part of our business. And apparently, I can't remember this. Apparently, I turned up to the first 6-month check-in and I checked a response that said ready for more when it said, where do you think you are in the business? Now, I was not ready for more. I was 6 months into the role. There was so much I needed to learn about my role, about co-working, about everything. But I had this idea that I was ready for more and I was ready to for the next step. And she was discussing how she was able to, she was like, I knew that you would be ready for more at some point in the near future, but at that point you weren't. So for her, it was about keeping me positive and wanting to progress, but also kind of pull the reins a little bit and be like, okay, let's just stop for a second.
Steady now.
Steady now. So I would definitely take that response with people. That I would, where possible, I include my team in everything that I possibly can, whether that be like showing them the P&L and making sure that they know where our profits are coming from, where our losses are coming from, where we might need to tighten our purse strings, including them in the health and safety meetings so they know the fine tunings and buildings. So I would encourage that with them. So if somebody did come to me and say, I want to do what you do, I'd say, come, please join me. And bit by bit, I'd expose them to different parts of the business so that one day they could. I think there's something admirable about not being scared about somebody taking your job. To a good manager should be delegating and allowing people underneath them to grow. I feel so. I would happily be like, please let me help you.
It's lovely.
Sure.
That's very interesting. And so you wish you maybe take more time to recognize what you're doing there, and then be a master of it before running off to for the next. But sometimes we say what they want to hear. We think what they want to hear, isn't it? And you would think to say by putting, I'm ready.
But I wasn't ready. And having that time, and I look back on my journey from when I apparently, I can't remember, but I did say I was ready for more. I look and for that year afterwards, I really honed it, and I was great at my job by the end of the year because I focused on that. And then I was like, now I'm ready. Now I see I'm ready. Yeah, I'm definitely ready.
And that'll teach you in the future too.
Exactly. To just live in the moment for a little bit, enjoy your wins, and then go, okay, now I'm ready for more.
It's great to hear that you are enjoying your work, and I'm sure there's plenty more to come from working from, and as you evolve it, I'm sure as well. So let's talk about switch off time. You mentioned music. I want to go back to that. What do you do outside your day job?
So music is something that I still do. So I still gig and things. I was doing a cowboy brunch this weekend, which was great. So I was entertaining people singing country and Western songs, which is very fun.
Is that what you sing normally? Or?
No, I don't usually sing that. My friend was busy, so I was like, I'll do it. It's fine. My genre is kind of like pop rock type stuff. But so I still do that. It's passion and it's a job as well. And then apart from that, it's very much, I'm somebody who, I was talking to my husband yesterday, and we were laughing because we were with some friends, and he was like, Luke never switches off. And I was like, no. My version of switching off is going on like a 10-mile walk. And if I go on a 10-mile walk, that for me is a switch
therapeutic.
Off. Exactly. If my body's moving, my brain can switch off. Yeah. So for me, I'm very physical. So in my spare time, I do lots of physical type things.
That's lovely. And it's for mental health again. Exactly. I've said this before about exercising. And so do you play any instruments at all, or just the voice?
Just the voice. I like to dance, so I can't dance if I'm stuck behind an instrument.
But can you dance and sing at the same time? I just don't know how.
I have a radio mic. I run around and dance and sing at the same time. If I'm ever gigging, I'm right. It is pretty. I run when I was training at college. They used to get us to run and sing at the same time on the treadmill. So if I'm ever doing runs, I'll usually try and sing under my breath as I run, just to kind of try and teach myself how to make
not
myself
be out of breath.
Exactly.
I can barely walk, talk, walk, run and walk and talk. And I don't know if I could do it all. Definitely couldn't sing, that's for sure. So lovely. Are you on Spotify or anything like that? Now's the time to plug it.
No, I'm not on Spotify. No.
Can't even hear you.
Just message me on LinkedIn and I'll send you a song.
Okay. We'll do that. You're on. So what's the last question? What's the best bit of advice you've ever been given?
So, I think that, I don't know whether it's the best bit of advice, but when I think about whenever anybody asks me this question, there's one sentence that my dad said to me when I was about 13 years old. And over time, I don't know whether it's a little bit toxic or whether it's good advice. I always take it as good advice. So it's essentially perspective. He always told me, he would tell me, if you need something done, ask somebody who's busy because there's a reason why they're busy. And because it was me getting stressed about something. I remember because I told you I started working at around 13 and there was somebody else who was doing the same role as me, but I would always do more work than them. I would get really frustrated because my boss would come to me and ask me to do more. And he said that to me and I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's a compliment because I can take stuff on. I can do it. I'm busy because I'm capable.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm always like, yeah, ask me to do stuff if I can do it. But then at the same time, I've had to put boundaries in because I was very much a yes person for a long time.
You'll be over busy.
Exactly. But I do like that sentiment that that there is a reason why people are busy. And if somebody asks you to do something, it's not them trying to brush something onto you. It's them going, he's capable of doing that or they're capable of doing that. Give it to them.
That's very different.
So, yeah.
I was always told, if you don't ask, you don't get. That was my dad as well.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. It's very true.
It's worth asking.
Yes, exactly.
You never know otherwise. Oh, that's lovely. So thank you so much for coming down today, Luke, to speak to us and share your working life with us and a little bit of your personal life too. Yeah. And good luck for the future at Working From. I'm sure there's plenty more years to come from that. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Lovely. And that's it for today's podcast, Wear Many Hats, which is totally dedicated to the FM industry. So please do like, share, and forward on to your friends and family. And Luke did mention that if you wanted to reach out to him on LinkedIn, he'd be happy to answer any questions for you. So that's it for today. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.